Hello everyone, this is Karl from the Rhinebeck School of Music. I'm joined as always by my cohort, little Karl, to my left. Today we're going to discuss some acoustic finger-picking patterns. This is assuming you have a basic knowledge of open chords. For our first pattern, we're going to use our thumb, first, second, and third finger. We'll use a basic open C chord. We'll assign each finger to a string. Our thumb will be on the A string, our first finger will be on the D string, our second finger will be on the G string, and our third will be on the B. You can play them in order or into different patterns as we'll discuss right now. You want to lock your wrist kind of over the bridge and bring your fingers in close, pointing at the strings as close in as you can get. Right over each string. Try not to look at your right hand also. They should be able to find their way. And of course, start slowly. And you'll start to put these together.
This might be a little tricky for a guy with plastic hands and no fingers.
This is true. We'll have to figure that out. So for our first pattern, we'll play thumb, A string, second finger, G string, first finger, D, and third on the B. And we're going to play a basic eighth note pattern for all of these finger picking patterns that we'll talk about today. So our first one will be just constant 1 and 2 and thumb, second, first, third, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Very steady, solid eighth notes. You can also use a metronome on each of the quarter notes to keep your place and to help you get solid. And then you can also speed them up over time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now if I switch to A minor, I'll play those same exact strings. Back to C. Same exact right hand pattern on the same strings. Now if I wanted to move to, say, a G chord, I have to adjust where my bass note is with my thumb. The thumb usually playing the bass notes. And I'll keep the other three fingers on the same strings of that part of the chord. You can vary what you do within each chord when you have more string, note, and note choices. For now, we're going to play the E with the thumb, G with the second finger, D with the first, B with the third. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. C, A minor, G, C. Now if I was to move to a D chord, and I'll play with those four fingers, D string thumb, B second finger, G first, and third on the high E. Start slow and then you can eventually build up to a faster speed. C, G, and all while making the adjustments to which strings I want to play. Our next pattern will be similar, but we're going to switch how we use our right hand. We're going to use our thumb again on the low note, and then we're going to use our first finger on the G, and then we're going to use our thumb again on the D string and our second finger on the B. So I get this now. Same pattern but different fingerings. So what we're introducing now with this pattern is an alternating thumb bass. C to G. I'm going to do our C pattern. Thumb on the A, first on the G, thumb on the D, second on the B, to my G chord, which is going to be thumb on the E, first on the G, thumb now on the D string, and then first on the B. So basically everything's the same except for the low note went from the A to the E string. Back to C. And you can also vary. Some people will use their first finger only for the higher notes on certain patterns, or the second. You can substitute, you can experiment with different variations here. The important thing is to keep it the same once you've established a pattern as far as what fingers are on each string. So we'll get something like this. C, G, A minor, C, and then the D. I would move up to the 4 strings, my highest 4. So our final pattern will be our most advanced pattern. This will be a 2-part pattern involving thumb bass and also introducing us into a more Travis alternating bass country blues style. This will also involve thumb bass and my first and second fingers. We're going to use the E chord for our first pattern, also 8th notes. We're going to play low E with the thumb and then the D with the open E string together for the second. 1, 2, and then we're going to break up the strings into 3 and 4. Low E thumb, second finger B string, and thumb again on the D. So we get 1, 2, 3, and 4. 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 Now if we take this through a 12-bar blues, go to an A7. Same pattern, just moving it over. 1 on the A, 2 on the D and E together, 3 on the A, and on the B with the second finger, and then 4 with the thumb again on the D. Back to E. For the B7, our 5 chord, we'll use our 2nd fret A root B7. Now we're going to play same as exact as the A7, low A, D and E together with the second and thumb, 3 thumb on the A string, and on the B string, 4 on the D. You can experiment with other chords. So putting this into a 12-bar pattern, let's start with our E for 4 measures. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2 to the A7. Twice, and then back to the E twice. B7 once. A7 once. E. So now let's put the second part onto that pattern. The E chord, we've already got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now for our second measure that will alternate with that, we were going to start with the outside E strings on 1, thumb, and I should say thumb second finger, and then the thumb getting the next bass note on the D string, second finger grabbing the B, and then I'm going to grab the low E, the thumb, high E with the second, and then the D string for our final bass note. Altogether, it would sound like this: 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Now I put it together with the other pattern. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. When played correctly, your thumb will be playing straight quarter notes, and everything around it with your other fingers will either be on those notes or in between as eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Always this as your reference. You can have your metronome tick to that. And then I've got my notes either in between or with the bass note to form the complete pattern. For the A7, it's the same thing. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. A string and E string. For the 1, D string, thumb, first finger on the B, low A again with the thumb, high E string with the second finger, and the D string for the last bass note. So you get 1, 2, and 3, and 4. That's the second half just by itself. Both these patterns can be played individually or together. Now we'll do the B7. Thumb gets the A string and a high E string. Second beat, thumb on the D string. First finger on the B string. Back to the thumb on the low A. High E string, second finger, and that last bass note on the D string. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4.
You're gonna need to pause the video a lot to work on this stuff.
It's a good point, little Karl. With all of these, start very slow. I encourage you to use a metronome, and also speed them up gradually as you get more comfortable and the motions become more automatic. So here's something you can do to add more notes with the left hand. Again, over the E chord. Same two-part pattern we just did. Now I'm going to go so I'm going to play slow down, open, low E, thumb, D string and E with the thumb and second finger. Now instead of playing the rest of the pattern on the B string, I'm going to put my fourth finger to make an E7. So we get this: 1, 2, low E, and then there's our 7, other bass note on the D string. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now on the second measure, I'm going to bring that 7th down to a 6th with the low E together. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1. There it is. And then we're going to play the D string with the thumb. And then we're going to do a little hammer on, which when I land it, it's the G to the G sharp, first fret, open to first. And as I'm landing that note, my thumb's going to hit the low E. This is a more advanced pattern, so take your time. There's that last note, and we finish it with a high E and a D thumb bass. Here's how it would sound counted out. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So let's put it all together. So as you can see, the more you play with these patterns, the more you'll discover with the left hand and be able to come up with some of your own little twists. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, getting you into some cool finger picking patterns. This is Karl from the Rhinebeck School of Music with Little Karl signing off. We'll see you guys soon.